Hi.
She came on Tuesday. Hi, welcome.
Now, how are
There.
you?
Hey,
Hi. Hi.
hi
Good.
everyone.
Hey,
Hi,
Paige.
Susie.
Hi, Susie.
Hello, sorry, I'll unmute myself.
I invited a couple of friends that heard Crystal's talk on, I think it was Saturday night, to our 5P minus community, and they wanted to join. So hopefully they'll be able to join in too. It's Julie and Sandy.
Nice.
I did talk to Julie, I think. So I think she'll be here.
Oh, great.
Yeah, hopefully.
I talked to Sandy a bit ago, and she said she does have to get Hannah off her van at 1:30 her time, which would be halfway in between the meetings. So I just heads up. I don't know if she can come and go like that, but she was going to try.
Hello, it's so lovely to meet you. I'm Crystal.
Hi, Crystal.
Hello, hello. I see Denise, and I see Susie, and I see Phyllis, and I am. Oh, I just noticed that Paige is turning on our live stream. So this is Crystal O'Loughlin from Angel Aid, and this is our Rare Mothers Roundtable. And I'm going to ask, if possible, Paige, if you could please introduce our gals today. That would be really helpful, and then we can jump in.
Well, I would love to hear from each of them individually, if that's okay. Oh, we have someone else coming. So welcome everybody. Those of you that have not joined something before, I'm so excited to have you here. And I would just love if you could take maybe like 30 seconds, a minute, introduce yourself. I know a little bit about you from what you've, like provided to me, but I think it would be really cool to hear from you, in person. So Susie, would you like to go first? And then we can just go around, brief introduction,
Sure.
just say hi.
Yeah, I'm Susie. I live in the Seattle area in Washington State, and I have a 3.5-year-old son who is at preschool right now. After a little bit of a dumpster fire yesterday with his one-on-one, but we made it. And he has a rare genetic disorder called UBA5. It's a gene mutation, recessive, heterozygous something. Anyways, he got it from both me and his dad, so it's the combination. For that, so he has intractable epilepsy and developmental delays, so he's nonverbal, non-mobile, and cute as a button.
I'm Phyllis, and I have 5 children. I had 3 of my 5 children that passed away from a rare genetic disease, and this was a long time ago. David and Jared and Randy, and I got to meet Mrs. Campbell, whose name is not Dennis. And so when
Sherry,
Sherry, there you go. And I'm Crystal's mother, and I'm very grateful for Angel Aid because it's helped me to come out of my long-time shell. There was not a lot of help for me back in those days, those years. And I'm so happy to see new people. This is exciting.
It really is. Thank you. Thank you, Phyllis. And thank you, Susie. And Denise, you want to introduce yourself to the group?
is that me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm Sherry. It's Dennis. Dennis is my husband.
Oh, okay. That's what's going on.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
sorry. I'll see if he can get that changed. Anyway, I am the mother of 2 daughters. Amy, the oldest, is 29, almost 30, and has 5P minus syndrome. And Crystal spoke at our mother's moments Saturday night, and I just fell in love with her talk and her, and just knew I had to be a part of this. So I'm happy to be here, and I love Tuesday. So that was great. Oh, and I told you Amy has 5P minus, right? Okay, that's a rare syndrome too.
Yes, you did. Thank you. And I changed your name on
Oh, you
your
did?
thing. Is it
Oh, good. I didn't know you
Sherry?
could do that.
Did I spell it right?
Shari.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna fix it right now because we all want to be sort of Shari. I love it.
And Julie is my friend that was also, she missed your meeting, but she does have a son with Krita Shaw, 5P minus as well. I don't know if she's on the screen or not.
She's got her video turned on,
There she is.
there she
Hey,
is.
Julie.
Hi, Julie. You're on mute, but we'd love you to introduce yourself.
I'm back. I'm sorry. I had to take a phone call from my daughter, and it was just super important. Thank you.
No worries. Give us a sense of where in the country you're joining us from, and what prompted you to join the Rare Mothers Roundtable today.
Oh my gosh, that's a story in itself.
Let's hear it.
Right now I'm in Happy Valley, Oregon, and I'm staying put here. By the way, Sherry, we're not moving to Georgia.
Okay.
So my husband just took a job in Washington, and we'll be, kind of going back and forth, but home base is right here. So a couple of weeks ago, I just kind of had a breakdown. I mean, it was a meltdown in an airport, and I raised my son on a remote island in Alaska, and 21 years is how long he was there. And then I put him in a group home after that, and I had gotten a divorce at the time. It's really difficult to get a divorce on a remote island in Alaska, but finally had my own life. Anyway, I really didn't know things like this existed. It was it was remote, and you wouldn't call it real civilized at the time. Anyway, I was at that airport, and just kind of crying and just Googling cat cry syndrome, cruda chat. I kind of knew it had something to do with the 5P minus, but I didn't know a whole lot about that. And I ran across Sherry. I think I just ran across something about you on a rare site. Anyway, it was on the site, and I got her name. So I stalked her on Facebook, and I sent her a Facebook message. And bless her heart, she answered. I guess my message must have been crazy, but I was pretty much desperate at that point. And when she answered and we started talking, and it almost makes me tear up now how I found her. She hooked me into a couple of support sites online. And then after a couple of days of that and looking around, it's pretty overwhelming. Then she said, hey, there's this other thing you need to check out, and it's Angel's Aid. Is it Angel's Aid? I'm not even real sure of the name, but I know I'm here.
Angel Aid, yes.
So anyway, I've just really soaked in. In between that time, I went to a women's conference, and that was where I was headed in Montana, a faith-based women's conference. And this is all I could think of the whole time I was there. But I've learned a whole lot. I've learned there's a whole support system out there. And as much as I would like to say I do a lot of self-care because I know I need it, having Jimmy, it's probably not enough. I don't consider myself to have a whole lot of stress unless I'm around him a whole lot. So I'd have to say stress has gone down since I put him in a group home, but there's still things I need to learn. I'm still with him every week, and it's hard not to use alcohol. And I'm not an alcoholic, but I do like my glass of wine at the end of the day. And sometimes I use that. Sometimes I say, oh my gosh, it was so hard with him today. I deserve this. And I know that's not right. Anyway, I know this session is not for me. So thank you so much for having me.
It is for you. That is the Rare Mothers Roundtable, right? I mean, we are evolving this group in various different ways. We've conducted an interview style with just one rare mother and others listening in. We've conducted a couples interview. I interviewed Phyllis and Richard, my parents, together, which was the first time I'd ever had the chance really to have them together. And now we're having this more of like this open forum, which I'm just really loving. So I'm grateful to all of you for showing up. So let's give Melissa a chance to introduce herself as well, because she's the last. But thank you, Julie, and thank you for being so transparent. That kind of sets the tone, doesn't it? Right? That we can be real with each other.
Hi, everyone. My name is Melissa Hiyoko. I live in California with my my husband and 2 kids. My son, who is 15 years old, he will be 16 in just a couple of months, has a rare genetic disorder called STXBP1. You may have seen when I popped on here, it said STXBP1 Foundation. So I, myself and 5 other parents helped to start the only nonprofit for his disorder in the United States. And I have to say though that my son's name is Alex, that learning about his genetic disorder, I have discovered a community that I did not know even existed. And I have to say that some of the best people I know are part of this community. And so it's an honor and a privilege for me to be able to be part of the rare disease community. And in saying that, I hope that I can provide support to other mothers, but I also hope to be able to get some support and especially learn about self-care for myself, as this road is not easy and this journey is not easy. And every single day I'm reminded of how difficult it is.
Absolutely. And isn't that kind of the awareness that happens? So you go through these cycles of awareness. You go through a discovery and awareness process about the disease that your child, minor child or adult child has, right? And then all of this learning and awareness about that disease and how to manage it and manage the family around managing those symptoms. And then somewhere along the way, there's an awareness that, okay, I'm an individual in this context as well. And somewhere on this list of things I need to do, I need to have my me time, my time. And so self-care, it takes a different role in each woman and man's life. Some really prioritize and some intend to prioritize, but it, gets dropped to the bottom of the triage list every day, right? I mean, there's things that have to happen. And I think that if we can take a few minutes to inspire each other. Now, we did this on Saturday and it worked really well, where we went around the room and just invited each mother and caregiver to talk about what their go-to is for self-care. Out of that, we can source a little bit of a list of some ideas and kind of get some ideas of what others are doing. You already know that you're not alone in this experience because you can see visually. If you don't have the gallery on, there's a little button in the upper, I should point that way, the upper right-hand corner. For Zoom, you can click speaker view, but you can also click gallery view, and that gives you a chance to see everybody's faces at one time. So, so now that we've introduced ourselves, why don't we go around and talk about kind of what our go-to stress reliever is. I'm trying to think of various different ways to talk about self-care because not everybody likes that term. The term I've been using, the term that I've been using is soul care. it's a little different than the physicality of self-care, or the task-oriented nature of self-care. It goes a little deeper. For me, soul care is things that I do that make me feel grounded or uplifted deep inside my heart and in my psyche. And I have not always turned to faith as a relief. But the last month or so, I had a new friend. We recently moved, and I had a new friend who goes to Little Church by the Sea, and she said, "You should come. There's just a really nice group of people, and it's really casual. You literally can roll into the church, and people are in their flip-flops. They've just come up from the beach, so it's really welcoming and open and inclusive." And the pastor that gives the sermon, it's a non-denominational church. I'm using pastor, but he doesn't call himself a pastor. He calls himself like a conversation leader. But he leads with thought-provoking topics, and I've just found myself, instead of ruminating on that triage list, I've mixed in ruminating on these philosophical questions and these kind of sharings that were happening on Sunday. And that's new for me. And getting my brain into a different pathway, I have found to be really calming. So I'm going to keep going. And since it's not so intimidating, I think my family will keep going too, which is kind of a nice thing. So that's what I've been doing. We can go around again and call on people, or if you just want to jump in. Anybody want to start? And then I'll call on each person. I'll just kind of go around the horn. Raise your hand if you want to start. No? Okay, Sherry, go.
Okay. So I have never taken the self-care route at all. It's always been all about Amy. And my other daughter, Kelly, will tell you that it's always about Amy, which breaks my heart, but it's probably a true story. So I worked full time when she was born and continued working until I could retire 25 years, into my career. And then I took retirement, and she graduated 3 months later from high school. And for 2.5 years, she was glued literally to my side, watching iPad movies or whatever, because I did not have a place for her to go. And we were in a different city and I wasn't familiar. And then I learned about a new program that had opened up, a day program. So we began there, and she loved it. And it was a fun program. It wasn't about work. And she really excelled, and her speech started happening more and more often and being more understandable, because she has always been what you would call nonverbal. And so that was a great thing. And then my husband retired, and we moved back to Auburn, Alabama, which I didn't say earlier. We are in Alabama. And this is where I grew up. And so my family is here, which was a great move for me. So they're not really hands-on help people, but they understand. And so we got her into a program here that's similar and very fun for her. And it's 4 days a week from 8 to 5. So I've been able to relax for the first time and just do nothing. And it has been a really great thing. And then I've started a program called Noom, which is a weight loss journey, basically. But I really am determined that will work. And through that, I've learned to discipline myself to write in a journal and to take notes on feelings and stuff. So that's really helping a lot.
Fantastic. Two really great and very different resources, right? A little bit of respite for you by sourcing a program that Amy could go into, and then spell the name of the weight loss journey that you're on. Did you say
It's
Noom?
Noom. Noom. And you see it advertised on TV, and I had no idea what it is, but it's a psychological
Okay,
based program to train you to think differently about your life, your weight, everything.
great. That's great.
And Julie, we found out, is on it as well. So
Oh, wow.
anyway, we had more than one connection there, but she didn't say Jimmy is 40.
Oh,
So
I love it. I love it. Okay, so so thank you, Sherry. That's exactly
sure.
what I was hoping we would do is go around. And the other thing is, and I think we'll start with like 2 minutes. We can go to longer, but what we'll do just as a group is we'll put like a really gentle timer. This is not a hard, it's just to make sure that everybody gets a chance to share, but be thinking, okay, stay focused on me, my self-care, my needs, because it's so easy to go left brain into symptom management, my patient child, right? So this is your time. So stay focused on, if you can, on you. It's hard to separate. And also share, in that amount of time. And if you hear a gentle timer, it's just a gentle way for you to go, oh, okay, and then we'll set it again for a minute, and it'll go off again, and third time we'll be like, okay, I'm gonna jump in. So does that seem reasonable? Does everybody like that approach? Okay. Um, all right. Well, so let's see, Sherry, you kind of did a call out for Julie. Julie, you want to go next? Talk about what you do for self-care?
Sure. And by the way, Noom is moon spelled backwards, and there's a reason for that if you want to look into it. So, like Sherry said, Jimmy is 40. I had him when I was 17, and I didn't know any difference. I had to take care of him. So I really didn't have a whole lot of self-care when he was younger. We immediately got married because that's what you do when you have a baby. And then he wasn't functioning. So I'm sorry, this is not all about him, but it's getting to the point. Um, so when he was finally diagnosed, my self-care was trying to get away from him and go for a hike. And when you said it, Crystal, you said soul care, and that really was soul care, and it still is today. Soul care for me, that's what gives me a refresher to get out. And I say hike, but sometimes that means just leisurely walk somewhere away. So for the first 20 years, that's what I tried to do when I could get someone who would be a sitter for him. After I put him in a group home, I found a real creative side of me. And now my passion and what feeds my soul is painting or crafts. I call it arts and crafts because it's kind of juvenile in my mind, but that's what really floods me with refreshing passion, whether it's painting rocks. I've been into painting rocks. A couple months ago, I took an oil painting class, and I'm continuing with that instructor. And it renews my spirit. I'm also a Christian woman, and we attend online church, which so many people do. But this is different. Soul care is something I get away by myself, and I do by myself, where my husband and I attend the church online, for really attending to my soul and giving me a refresher and reminding me that I'm not just Jim Bob's mom, that there's a whole person in here. It's arts and crafts.
Oh, I love it. I love it, right? There was a lot there that we were unpacking, or that you were unpacking. Escape is real, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, and being able to process what's happening, and then you come back. It's not like you're escaping forever, but even just in a walk or a hike or a moment. So so thank you, Julie. Okay. Who wants to go next? Susie, you feel ready?
Yeah, I can go next.
Great.
I would say I have a big hodgepodge of things that I'm doing right now. I do yoga a few times a week in the morning just to kind of kick off the day, which has been really helpful. And yeah, going to yoga classes has also been helpful when they're available in person these days. But I've been trying to take advantage. Having my son in preschool has been a big shift for me. Like essentially having some respite care that I don't have to coordinate all the time and, you know, be asking. Luckily, we have a good community, and we actually, so it's me and my husband and my son, and we actually live with my in-laws in their house. We have kind of a downstairs apartment, and they're a great resource, and I'm able to kind of escape for, you know, 10 minutes or an hour or two with some, you know, live-in help with my kiddo. But so definitely get the escape. And I was thinking about it, and it's kind of funny, but I would actually say that right now I'm doing some work. I do freelance design and graphic design. And I think that that actually has been a form of self-care, making the time for that and feeling like doing some paid work to go along with my unpaid work. Seems a little bit counterintuitive, and I'm trying to keep it in that realm of not causing more stress, but is letting me exercise my creativity and, you know, my employee and, you know, adult working person muscles as well. So that's been an interesting kind of form of self-care that's come up in the last little bit to be able to get back into that. Yeah, and then I would say I listen to a lot of different podcasts and things like that, some, you know, more spiritually based than others, but just I love one called Terrible, Thanks for Asking, that talks a lot about grief and just different people's experiences with terrible things happening and them coping. And so I found a few things like that that just kind of help me process and hear other people's stories. So
That's great. And I made a note on that podcast as well, because I love it when we can source things that, you know, that inspire each of us. And work, we hear that a lot, right? It's sort of the accepted, you know, I have to go to work, right? You know, and so it's like there's no argument about that, right? Yes, Julie, that was terrible things. Terrible dot. Thanks for asking. Meaning like, yeah, how are you doing? Terrible. Thanks for asking. Yep, you got it, Susie.
yes, exactly. You don't always have to say fine. You can say terrible.
You can. That right? That's authentic. Right. Phyllis?
I'm trying to get to where there's a stable connection, because for some reason it keeps saying that it's unstable. So
Stable on our side.
okay, you're okay now. My children's disease was one that progressed fast. Their life expectancy was 6 to 12 years old, and they needed nursing care fairly early. So I did not have them as long as I wanted. What I did, and I don't know if you can see this, that's a butterfly with a woman's body in the middle. And on the left brain, there's numbers and the alphabet. And on the right brain is music and flowers and things like that. From the beginning, Sherry, I knew that I had to take care of myself in order to take care of them. And so I tried to create a balance between the physical, the spiritual, and everything. I tried to be the perfect mom, don't we all? We all try to be the perfect mom. And gosh, I guess that I was, until one day I laid down on the couch and I couldn't get up. And I was there for a week. And the church people came in and took care of my husband and my children and me. And because one of the reasons I collapsed was because my children needed 24-hour nursing care. So I didn't get any sleep. And so at some point when there was a retiring nurse, I let my children go. I kept them together. I let them go live with her. I had 2 other children who were not ill, and I was trying to balance everything. So that's really all I have to say. I thought I did a terrible job until Angel Aid came along and helped me to see that I was just the typical rare mother, and I didn't do such a terrible job. And that's why I'm so grateful for Angel Aid and for hearing all of your stories, because I'm trying to keep a balance now at 78. I do ride the bicycle and do my exercises, and my big thing is writing, and so I continue to write, and that releases my tensions. And thank you for telling me your stories, because it really makes me feel so good. Thank you.
Thank you, Phyllis. That expectation of perfection, right? The ideal, the unattainable ideal. It's a bit of a commentary on that, and then Melissa will come to you in sharing. But we have such a range, right, of women. We're the melting pot of rare mothers, and early on, when we decided to refocus Angel Aid and focus on mothers, it was because there was this gap, like this almost this like blind spot in support services, that everything was so patient-centric, but there wasn't the caregiver and the whole family, right? Like there is a recognition of this role, this very important role in military and veteran caregiving, for example, or in senior care. We just haven't pulled that into the rare disease community necessarily. I think there's some spots, some organizations like 5P-, I think, have a really strong recognition of that role. But that was the whole point, is that we need to shine a spotlight on this role, and we need to do it for women that are in every phase of their journey, newly diagnosed, deep in the journey, and still on the journey even as their children have passed away. Because again, if you have a patient-centric focus, what about all the bereaved families like ours, right? Like my mom, you can tell, hasn't stopped thinking about her boys and thinking about how to manage self-care for the day. So I love hearing these voices. Okay, Melissa, your turn.
Well, all I have to say is I need to learn from all of you guys. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, good. Because I am definitely not doing enough or hardly at all any self-care. And Crystal knows that, I work a lot with the foundation, and that's definitely a passion of mine. But I definitely need to be taking a step back and trying to take care of myself. It's super, super hard. I will say that, like some of you, that my work is an outlet. I'm a teacher. I'm a homeschool and independent study teacher. And I love my students. And I would say that that is an outlet for me because I'm able to have interactions with them. At the same time that it's an outlet, sometimes it's also a reminder for me of what I'm missing out on with my son. So that's hard for me because it's definitely something that I love and I enjoy, but I have students right now that are his age and they're very typical students. And it reminds me so much of where he is not. So that's hard for me too. But I need to be doing more for myself, especially now that he's back in school. I need to be taking more of those moments to really focus on taking care of me. And by the way, we just got a new kitten. And I know, and I'm enjoying him. So maybe that's a little bit of self-care for me, is just being able to play with our new kitten. Yeah, it's really hard, but I need to be finding those times and scheduling them into my day, because this journey is only getting harder as my son is getting older, and I'm yeah, it's becoming a little bit more challenging to find those times. So
Absolutely.
thank you for sharing with me. I appreciate it. I really need to be more focused on my own self-care.
Yeah. And that's what we wanted to do, right? Is just hear from each of you. You are your own source of inspiration. And there's so many different ways to take those few moments. The BBB was the big popular one in the group on Saturday. Sherry's laughing. Tell them what the BBB is, Sherry.
The BBB, one mother said, was if she told her family she was going on BBB, they all knew that meant book, beer, bath. And so we all joined in and said, yes, we would like a BBB. Well, I don't drink beer and I'm not big into baths and I don't really read. So I said, how about an MMM? Me, Margarita, and what else did I say? Something. Anyway, another M word. And so people got really carried away with making up, SSS or whatever, and having fun with that. But you really do need that group.
I love it. I love it. That was just such a you just saw the whole group light up, and now I am again, right? I mean,
it was fun.
That's a funny one. So I've dropped in the chat the list that you just sourced with each other, and you can, make a copy of this and kind of put it somewhere. I think, Paige, it might be really interesting for us to, publish out into the community. It is a great prompt question for our community to ask, what do you do for self-care, and come up with these ideas, because some of them are philosophies, right? And some of them are like actions. Some you have to really plan for, and some is just something that you can call on. One of the things that we call on is breath work. And so I thought that we would just take a minute. The number one thing we hear from caregivers is, I don't have time. I don't have time for my self-care, right? And so I try to challenge that notion with this idea of taking a breath. So if I could ask you to set everything down, empty your hands, and put your feet just flat on the floor. And if you'd like to, you can rest your hands gently on your lap. And if you'd like to, you can close your eyes. And we're just going to take 3 deep breaths together. And take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. We're going to breathe all the way into our belly. A deep breath in. Hold it, hold it, hold it. And a deep breath out. And the last one, a deep breath in. And a deep breath out. You can gently open your eyes. I love that tool. I'd love to know how you're feeling after those 3 deep breaths. So we'll kind of go in reverse order. Melissa?
Yeah, it feels good to just take a minute and kind of just focus on me. I think that was good.
Thank you. And Phyllis?
The concentration required to control my breath released me from thinking of anything else but me, my breath.
Thank you. And Julie?
It's kind of a nice start to my day. I feel like I can be full of energy now. I don't know if that's true, but I love those breathing exercises and I probably don't do them enough. Noom teaches us that, but I just feel like I'm ready for the day. I'm glad it's morning time.
Great. And Susie?
I think I'm feeling good. I think it's always a good reminder. I think I'm recognizing even just the past few weeks that I was carrying like that little like ball of anxiety in your tummy, and I just feel like lately it's been so nice to take in that deep breath and check in and realize like, oh, it's a little bit smaller or it's big today, noticing it, and I feel like just taking that moment to notice. And today I don't have one in my belly and it just feels nice.
Oh, that's so great. And Sherry?
I feel like doing deep breaths is really energizing and makes me feel like myself. And it's a definite wake up call to do that more often.
Seems so obvious, right? How about you, Paige? I haven't been calling on you, but you're part of our group.
Yeah, I don't do it enough either. I'm always go, go, go. So I enjoy when I meet with you guys and take a few minutes to just like reset. Just like, yeah, that's what it is for me, just a reset.
It is, right? They talk about shallow breathing when you're feeling stressed is this sort of shallow breathing, and you actually slow down and pull the breath through your whole body. I get tingly. I start kind of feeling very floaty. And what I love about that tool is it's available anywhere, right? In your car, on a plane, or not that anybody's flying anymore, but in a hallway, or before you come in, or before you go to bed, or before you wake up to tackle the day, whatever it is, that tool is available to you. So.
Crystal, I noticed my shoulders completely went down too. I mean, they were up, and after those 3 breaths, it's just like they're down a little lower. And I like what Phyllis said, that you have to think about yourself during that time. You're concentrating on your breathing.
Absolutely. There's chakras is one way of describing it. That's Eastern medicine. Western medicine would say your parasympathetic nervous system, but the breath work is your access to the reset, the calm, the pull it in. And it can be for yourself, but it also can be for those around you. So I don't have a child with symptomatic rare disease living in my day-to-day life, but I have a 14-year-old daughter who is a force of nature and can be quite emotionally explosive sometimes. And sometimes I'll just say, you know what, let's just take a couple of breaths together and reset on this conversation, right? So a tool available for others as well. Okay, so a couple of things, and I just took notes on what each of you said there as well. Next week, I think it might be really interesting to use a check-in tool that Dr. Laura Riordan has used with our groups for a couple of years now. So if you don't know Laura, she is the author of The Sustainable Mom. It's a methodology that we use. No worries, Melissa, we'll see you again. It's a methodology that we use in our wellness retreats. So there will be a global Rare Mothers wellness retreat coming up in January. So that'll be our next one. You'll see information about that. Laura uses a sharing format called Love. And so I just wanted to kind of give a heads up to this group that we will work with this format next week, next Thursday at 10 a.m. And here's what Love stands for, and I just dropped it into the chat. It stands for life. Please share a brief life update. What's going on? O is the obstacle. What is a past, present, or future struggle? Something big or small? Is there something that you're worried about for the future or that you're struggling with currently or is constantly a challenge, right? So life, obstacle, victory, share a win, big or small. Maybe it could be related to some of these self-care ideas or maybe something different. Even if it's small as noticing a beautiful sunset or enjoying a meal, right? So there's no expectation, there's no judgment on any of these, just a format to organize our thoughts. And then the last is excitement. So what are you excited about? What are you looking forward to? What's coming down the pike for you? Right? So love will be the format that we'll do next week for sharing. And Julie's question about the retreat, will it be in person? The January retreat will not. It will be a virtual experience. We ran a global virtual wellness retreat this past January, runs for 6 weeks. We may do a variation of that. I know, wow. So what we try to do is make it not a huge burden. The format that we ran in January, I think it worked really well. It was Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Saturday. So we alternated Fridays and Saturdays. We had a morning session on Monday. We had and the morning session on Monday was some sort of self-care experience, like yoga or meditation. So we brought in one of our health and wellness experts, Renee Schwann, to lead that session. And that was optional. Wednesday is mandatory. That is the time where we all come together as a group and work with Dr. Laura Riordan. And she steps us through, over the 6 weeks, different pieces of her Sustainable Mom methodology, right? So there's a guidebook, and we go through each of those exercises and do some sharing. So that's for an hour on Wednesday. And then the last session at the end of the week is really meant to be more social. So we do like a bring your own beverage social in the evening, like a fireside chat. Another one that we did was morning session Saturdays, where we did a walk and talk around the neighborhood. Everybody it's usually January or February, so everybody put their beanies on, and if you're walking in the snow, that's fine too. If you're in California, just put a light sweater on, whatever it is, but just kind of grab your mobile device and let's do some walking and talking. And that was really popular as well. So you'll see more on that. And for experiences like that, retreat experiences, we'd like to have a buy or apply button. So if you are resourced financially and can afford all or partial payment to participate, we invite you to do that. And if that is too much of a challenge, we invite you to ask an organization maybe to sponsor you, or even friends and family to sponsor you for the wellness retreat. And then the last option is we will find you a sponsor. Okay, we have a lot of really amazing people that support Angel Aid. In fact, October is our month of giving, so you're going to see lots of communications about that. October is our give month, and we invite people to support Angel Aid and our Rare Mothers and make donations all month long. We do have an event on October 22nd. It's a 1-hour live streamed event on YouTube, Facebook Live, Zoom, and Microsoft Teams. And the whole point of this event is to honor you. So we are honoring Rare Mothers. We're shining a spotlight on Rare Mothers around the world. And pretty soon, we're really close, Paige is going to be releasing some information about nominating yourself or nominating a Rare Mother into our Enter to Win sweepstakes, where we'll be raffling off participation in our Global Wellness Retreat. So we'll be sponsoring the winner to join our wellness retreat. And it's really a way for us to invite more Rare Mothers into our community and get you engaged and thinking about us and what we're doing, and also kind of amplifying for friends and family what we do so that we can keep doing what we do. So that'll be coming up. Those are just a few things, but in our last couple of minutes, is there anything that anyone wanted to share that's on their heart before we wrap up, and hopefully see you next week?
Just really quick, thank you for having this group. And I put off a trip. My husband's packing the car and getting ready, but I told him I needed to attend this before we left. So thank you.
That's for you. Sometimes you have to box out, right? Your self-care, right? I need this. And we talk about that too, because your family gets really, right? It's so true. They get so used to you being in service to everybody. And you're like, okay, it's my turn. It's my turn. So good for you, Julie.
I was all packed right before. I was all packed.
Good. You're setting a great example for the rest of us.
I think that was a thought after the breathing exercise too, was just that recognition of taking what you need when you need it. And sometimes it's just a deep breath that's 5 seconds, and sometimes it's a walk to escape for 5 minutes. But I think those are my self-care right now, is just actually asking myself, what do you actually need right now? Do you need to get stuff done? Do you need to go for a walk? Like, what do you actually need right now? So it's a good question.
Great reflections. Okay.
I want to mention the writing thing for self-care, because when I had my children, I would get the thoughts that plagued me out of my head onto paper. And then later I was able to get a ghostwriter to write that newspaper article. And sharing our story is part of helping improve the human condition. So if you ever need to self-care to get rid of some of the thoughts you have, or to recount what your day was like, just journal a little. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Okay, we'll have to get that story published on in a blog. Phyllis, it sounds like it's time for you to write a blog so that we have a place to publish that story on the web. So she's like, no, don't set me up like that. All right. All right, ladies. Well, thank you. I feel really validated and renewed with your loving energy. So, so let's end with sending each other some love over the transit. And we like to do hugs, so we're sending you hugs. Thank you. Hugging our faces. All right. We'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye. Bye for now.